welcome back for more Iwouldcampthat. Really excited to share with you what we're going to tackle today. For any of you that have followed any of our videos, or if you've been following our channel from the beginning and have an idea of how our rig is set up, you know that we don't have any back seats in our rig. 2007 Chevy Silverado, and we ripped the back seats right out because, hey, they were in the way. So what we're doing is, a few months ago, I mentioned building sort of a bench project. Now, we're going to start on that today. We've got the supplies we need. The bench is going to be very simple, made out of wood, hopefully provide some storage space underneath, and it'll be somewhere that we can place our camp fridge and our pullable water tank, and maybe some other things as well too. Projects like this evolve over time. We're definitely not carpenters. We're keeping it as simple as possible. So whatever we do build today, we're probably going to add on to it in the coming days. And yeah, well, let's just jump to the back and we'll show you what we got. So when we added our new legs to our bed with 2x10, we had some wood left over. So I cut this with a handsaw. As you can see, it's not a very straight cut, but it doesn't really matter. So this is 8 inches, about 8 inches across down here, maybe 9.5 up here. And down here, I've taken a drill bit. We went up all the way up to a 1/2 inch drill bit to make these holes. So what we can do here with these holes is just slide that on. Wobbles a little bit, but once we get everything attached, that should be firm and tight there. And we did the exact same on the other side too. So we've got our 2x10 legs that I've showed you, one here, one on the other side. I went to Lowe's and got them to cut me a 3/4 inch piece of plywood. This is the exact same thickness that we use for our bed, and very sturdy, very strong. And what we've done is we got it cut about 20 inches wide, so we've still got some space kind of in the back area here. And then from one side of the cab to the other, 55 inches and 3/4. So we've got maybe... Haven't actually measured how much clearance we have under here, but it's quite a bit of space down here, so we should be able to pack that pretty tight. Now, we've gone ahead and we've put in some pilot screws already off camera. We've still got one more that we got to do. I did one on this side. Rita did 2 on that side. The person who wasn't drilling just kind of held the bench in place. As you can see, it is kind of wobbling a little bit. Just with those legs resting on those screws where the back seats used to be. So we're probably going to have to come up with some other supports for the bench down the road. But for the time being, I feel like as long as we pack pretty tight under the bench, that's going to offer some good support. So now we have our placeholder screws in place, our pilot screws, so that this bench isn't going to be moving around on us, at least not detaching from the legs. So the next part we're going to do, this was Rita's idea, and it's a fantastic idea, is we're actually going to take some L brackets and we're going to put some screws underneath the bench to provide additional support. One problem with this, trying to go from the top, is as you can see in this back corner, there is really no room to get a drill in there, at least not a straight. You can see there's a couple of pilot holes I attempted before. You might not be able to see it from over there, but failed attempt. So we're going to go underneath and actually put those brackets in. Now, I have a little problem where I don't know if you've noticed, but I'm kind of husky and, you know, kind of a bigger guy. If you didn't notice, that's okay. So Rita has volunteered to get underneath the bench and get those installed. One thing I forgot to mention, just for anybody who might be following along, if you're doing a similar project. So these are the brackets we'll be using underneath. So basically they're just going to go underneath. I'll show you on the top side here. So running along the bottom side of the bench, and the other side is just going to run along the length of the 2x10 wood. The screws that we used over here, 1.5 inches. I wanted to go with something like 1.5 inches length just because we're going through 3/4 inch of plywood, and I wanted to make sure that we were getting a good penetration into this wood here. For this actual piece down here, Rita's going to be doing 1/2 inch screws coming up into the bench just so that we're not penetrating the wood. And then we're going to be doing 1 inch screws going across into the wood there.
Coming to you live from underneath the bench. We've got the L braces in on either side. I've got inch-long screws going into the legs and half-inch screws going into the bench above. Where I had space, I used the drill to make some pilot holes, but where I did not have room, due to the drill being a bit too fat, I got them in there just by sheer elbow grease. Took a bit of time, but as you can see, everything is now squared in with a bit of extra support coming from underneath. I've got high hopes for these things.
So one thing we did off camera, basically the exact same thing we were doing with screwing down here, is Rita and I went and we put in these bracers. Now these peg leg pieces here, these actually used to be the old legs for our bed. We used to have kind of a peg leg system. Actually worked quite well until we introduced our storage sliders, and then those just kept banging into the legs. I'm not one to waste materials if I can help it, so we're using these as bracers. So just a basic little bracket there. We didn't even use all the holes. We've just got a half-inch screw on the bottom, half-inch screw on the top there, just to help keep that in place. And also to keep that more secure, we also put one over on this side here, just because this was wobbling a little bit. The purpose for this is with the fridge, I was obviously concerned about it sliding, bumping around. It might still do that depending what kind of road conditions I'm driving on. Ultimately, we'll find out if this works when we do a stress test. So there's one there, and there's one, oh, I just gotta squeeze in here. There's one over there too. We don't have one at the back. We're gonna see how we usually pack stuff back here anyway. So honestly, I'm not too worried about having one back there, but we can always change that if need be. We were gonna have a couple of little guys here to accommodate the wire, but thinking about quality of life, the problem with that is when we're loading the fridge in, it's a lot easier to simply, you know, push it in and push it into place. With those in the way, if we had bracers there, we'd have to lift the fridge and then try to like kind of sort of eyeball it and feel it out and drop it down. And when your fridge is full of food, that's just going to be really annoying. So we're going to try with this. This vent needs to breathe, but no harm packing a little something in here for cushion. So I think I'll be able to make it work. Another important factor with the fridge as well too was making sure that we have clearance for this door. So our fridge opens up like this, and having to make sure that we're not bumping into this piece here. So it's just bypassing that, which is good. Where I originally had it a little further over, it was bumping into this, not opening completely. And no matter how hard I try, I'm not hitting the back window. The only ergonomic issue here, which isn't really that big of a deal, for me at least, is the basket's all the way over here. But I mean, you can stand on the little foot lift there and just reach in. So I think that'll work pretty well for our needs. And we can always add more bracers in or more support in if we need. And next up on the other side here, so similar idea with our potable water tank. I don't have a lot of water in there right now. With this, we want to make sure that we can bypass the frame of the door. So with this bracer, you'll see it's right on the edge of the bench because we need it to be over that far. As you can see, if I pull this out, not very much clearance, but it is enough to get it out. There's another one over here. We did the same idea where we had the two brackets and then one additional one. We've covered it with a layer of tape just because we were concerned about the container getting caught on the screw. So just to give it more of a smooth surface to pass over. And climbing up again, not as tight a squeeze this time. We've got one over here. So basically this theoretically should stay in place. There's lots of room back here. We don't have to worry about vents or anything having to breathe. So we've got lots of room over this way to pack stuff. I don't got much water left. Send help. So anyways, if we want water, just slide this bad boy out. Now I don't have much water in, so I'm gonna have to tilt it anyway, but just slide her out, get what you need. Now, very important, I don't have anything stored under there just yet, but make sure that's closed so we don't get any splashback below the bench. Slide her back in. So just moving down underneath here, I've just got these two bracers that came with my jack, one on each side. This is a very temporary solution until we actually come up with some kind of a support to put down here. There are some more screws back there we can work with. We're just going to have to brainstorm and figure out what we want to do. I do need to organize back here. We've been doing a lot of work back here, so we kind of just been putting stuff wherever. So it's a bit of a mess. One advantage with this, though, is when we start packing this, especially for a bigger trip, if we pack this really tight, that's going to act as additional support for the bench. The worst problem we're having with the bench is that it's not really wobbling right now because I've got these in place. But I mean, if I hit my brakes hard enough, these could move. But we're going to try to pack really tight in here and just keep a nice little, just keep it tight so that nothing's moving around. And then we'll figure out down the road what we're going to do for additional support. So this isn't a finished project, but this is phase 1 of the project, and I'm really excited to test it out on our next trip. Thank you so much for tuning in. I've been super excited to do this project. Thank you so much to my lovely fiance, Rita, for all her help, and great teamwork getting this put together. And yeah, I'm really excited to take this out on a trip, give it a stress test. Anything, as we've said before, anything you do for your rig, whether you truck camp, van camp, trailer camp, whatever the case may be, it's always trial and error. So hopefully this will be a glowing success. If there are some failures or some issues, we'll figure the best way to figure that out is to go out for a camp and figure it out the hard way.
It's not failure, it's progress.
I like that. I like that. Good thinking. Okay, well, thanks for tuning in. If you have any questions about anything we did, or if you feel like this might be something you want to do for your rig, let us know in the comments below. Or maybe you took a different approach. Maybe your bench was far more skilled and, gold star carpentry skills than ours. Let us know what you used for your rig. Let us know what your thoughts are on ours. We'd love to hear any feedback, and it's always good to network with other campers and find you're only limited by your imagination.
And by how sturdy your materials are.
And by how much space you have too. Anyways, take her easy, everybody. We'll see you next time.